Ahead of tomorrow night's game against the Boston Bruins, which marks the Toronto Maple Leafs' first playoff game, Sheldon Keefe has revealed a lot of interesting updates regarding that, revealing his plan regarding the lines, some injury updates, and much more. So I'm going to break all that down in this episode of Leafs Digest. Before we do, quick reminder, hit the subscribe button. If you're excited for the playoffs and want to stay subscribed for daily Leafs content throughout the entire playoffs, make sure to hit that subscribe button. About 80% of you who are watching aren't subscribed, so mean the world if you can do that. And Darius, obviously, tomorrow's the big day around 7 Eastern. The Toronto Maple Leafs play the Boston Bruins. It's going to be an absolute battle, and hopefully they can take care of business in tomorrow's first game. But we have some stuff that came out today regarding, obviously, that first game, and we got some lines as of today about an hour ago. So this is pretty recent news here. You can see the lines. I'm not going to read out the entire thing. I guess of note, Nylander's absent. He will still factor in. He's just, I guess, he's absent today, but he will be playing in tomorrow's game. McMahon is still injured. You have Bertuzzi, Matthews, Domi, Nyes, Tavares, Marner, Robertson, Holberg, John Crocklin, Connor Dewar, David Camp, and Ryan Reeves. Anything kind of standing out to you here, Darius? Pretty much what we expected to agree. There's some changes, there's some weird things, but I'll let you take over here. And it's good we got some, I guess, the day before the storm here to weather whatever lines Sheldon Keefe is going to rock with tomorrow.
Yeah, it looks like we got like some clarity on what certain things will look like, but at the same time, nothing at all, because I think the lines will look different tomorrow
Yeah.
because of Nylander being absent today, right? So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. The one thing that I noticed right away is Domi's back in the lineup, and he said he's ready to go. They interviewed him earlier. He said he's ready to go. He's 100%. Whether that's true or not, he feels like he's ready to go. So that's good. I love the fact that that first line is back together. Matthews plays a lot better with Domi and Bertuzzi on his wings, and I'm excited to see that line going. What's interesting to me, it was when you look at McMahon still out as well, and it looks like he might miss some time still, which is a big blow, honestly. Like, I think he's one of the most underrated players on the Leafs this year. Nye slots in with Tavares and Marner. If I was Sheldon Keefe, Marner comes out of there for Nylander tomorrow because there's going to be big matchup games in the first two lines, the top six for both teams. And you slot Marner down to the third line. You can kind of mix and match there with different lines, and maybe he can take advantage of the Bruins' third and fourth lines. So I think that's probably the only change. And then somebody's going to have to come out of the lineup based on the lines today. But I'm sure they'll figure it out, whatever, you know, fits. I think Reeves is going to start game one as well to set the tone. And then on defense, some big changes as well. The Leafs are rocking 5 defensive pairs right now in practice, which is pretty cool. And looks like TJ Brody is the odd man out. We knew that how it would basically shape out. It was basically, you know, trying to figure out who was going to be the last guy on that third pairing. And looks like Brody's the odd man out. And I kind of like the D that they're going into the playoffs with. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, and obviously you would like to get a bit more of clarity regarding the lines. If Nylander was in there, you would have gotten a lot more. Because Nylander's out, it's going to be a bit interesting. You mentioned the defensive things. You see Cade Webber slotting in. Now, we'll have an update about him in a few minutes. But, yeah, Cade Webber obviously is with the team. He is not going to factor into at least like the lineups to start. I mean, he might. I mean, can't imagine that at all. You see he's the fifth. You mentioned there's 5, obviously. He's the fifth when there's Giordano's out. TJ Brody is obviously the big one, and Connor Timmins, of course. Basically what we predicted, the blue line are looking the exact same. We're keeping Lyubushkin with Morgan Riley, Benoit McCabe, Edmondson, Liljegren. So it's a bit that's more, normal and normalized than we compared to the other ones. But looking at some of the interesting notes here regarding Cade Webber. Do you think he is now? There's basically no chance, but it's good experience for Cade Webber. Recently, officially signed Cade Webber. He's taking part in his first Maple Leafs practice, wearing number 52. And you can see an update from Kyle Kushman saying Cade Webber will be an extra threat to playoffs, so he won't factor in the lineup. It would be stunning to see him draw in. Contract beginning this season is just to burn the first year and get him closer to RFA status. So yeah, I mean, there's no way he factors into the playoffs, but good experience, and it's good to see him at least around the team, even though he's not going to factor into a game unless some crazy injuries, hopefully, God forbid that happens, unless some crazy things happen.
Yeah, Kyle with a great update too and some insight into that as well. Like, they're trying to burn that first year of the contract so he can get to RFA status and all of that. And yes, he probably won't factor into the lineup, but the fact that he's around and he's practicing with them and he's just around the team during the playoffs, I think that's good because he can see what goes into everything, goes into the preparation, might get him a little bit more ready, gives him some more insight and how things go. So when he eventually joins the team in a couple of years' time, or maybe even next year because of the cap, he kind of knows how things go and what to expect. So I think that's great. And listen, it's not impossible. He's there, he's signed, and if there's enough injuries, there would have to be a significant amount of injuries, like literally 4 injuries. But he could end up in the lineup if the Leafs go deep in the playoffs. You never know, right? So it would take a lot, but we could end up seeing him. It's not entirely impossible, but a lot of things would have to go wrong for the Leafs and I guess right for Weber to get into the lineup.
Yeah, specifically injuries probably would have to happen, or maybe if the top three pairing plays really bad for some strange reason, then maybe that could happen. And one other thing to note, obviously, I mean this was expected for a while, is the goaltending situation. Samsonov seems to be he is going to play tomorrow against the Bruins. Will be the opening playoff game starter, and then Joseph Wall. How do you think that goalie situation is going to kind of work? I mean, I can't imagine they start Wall with the way he's been playing lately, but maybe they do get a chance to throw him in. I think they just ride Samsonov and bearing him being very, very bad for 1, 2, or 3 games straight, because he's been, obviously Samsonov hasn't been the best as of late, but he's by far the 3 goalies that we have right now. The Leafs, that is a very, by far the best option, and I think they ride him the entire series. I think that's kind of the consensus now.
Yeah, the funniest thing to me this morning was the Boston Bruins are not naming their game one starter because they have 2 really good goalies, and Domi was kind of playing mind games saying, we haven't named our starting goaltender either. And it's like, come on, man. Like, we know who it's going to be. It's going to be Ilya Samsonov, because if he goes down with injury, I think the Leafs are in a bit of trouble, because you're looking at Wall and Jones. Jones has been consistent, but he is what he is, and Wall has struggled since his injury. So it's going to be interesting if Samsonov were to get injured or something where he has to get pulled out of a game. But Samsonov's going to be the starter. He is the guy. I personally have faith in him. He won them a playoff series last year. The Leafs were outplayed in that playoff series, and he played really well. So I think he's going to do the same thing again this year. He's looked great for a majority of the season, considering what he went through earlier in the season. Obviously, he struggled the last couple of games, but he'll find it. He'll be fine, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. And yeah, Samsonov is going to be the starter. One other thing to note here from David Alter before we wrap up, he says, with Nylander absent, Jaromir Jagr getting reps in the first power play with Riley, Matthews, Marner, and Tavares, and then obviously we kind of mentioned McCabe, Domi, Liljegren, Robertson, and Bertuzzi back on the power play line too. So things are shaping up more like we kind of expected them. Now I'll ask you this, Darius, before we wrap up here. 2 things. Obviously, we'll take your prediction for the series on the regarding whether the Leafs win or lose, and who you think the Bruins are going to start between Ullmark and Jake Swayman. I'm going to ask you both of those, and we'll see. I got Leafs in 6, but let's see what you got.
I hate to say the same thing as you, but I do have a gut feeling the Leafs will win this in 6. They'll clean it up just like they did last year without having to go to 7 games. I just think that they match up. Regular season stats don't matter once you get to the playoffs, and I think they match up very well against the Bruins. They're relatively healthy, and the offense should be able to get it done. I really do think that, and I think Samsonov is going to be good enough. So I think it's going to be Leafs in 6. I have a gut feeling about this year. I feel better about this team because of the fact that they won last year, and then they added more grit and tough guys and guys who know how to play in the playoffs. So I feel pretty good about that. And what was the second question there, Nick? Again,
Bruins goalie.
Yeah, Bruins goalie will be Swayman, I think, for game 1. I think it will be Swayman. He's the younger option there. They're both really good goalies. And yeah, he's younger, so I think they want to get him ready, and I think he can handle it. So I think it's going to be Swayman, but head games, you never know in the playoffs.
Yeah, they have 2 really, really good goalies over there. But that'll wrap it up. Let us know in the comments your prediction for the series as they play tomorrow night. And hopefully the Leafs, and this is the start of something, a special postseason for them. But that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.